Vani Pacharani Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Satarani Shri Krishna Prabhu Nityananda Jayadvaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Yeah. Why waste Krishna's energy? Oh, geez. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Just for fun, we need to untangle this and move the mic. Prabhupada, this is 1970. Do exactly what I say. Untangle this, and then we can move the mic. Otherwise, there's about 25 chords there. There we go. Move this. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Okay. Hare Krishna. So 1977, Prabhupada's coming to Detroit. And practically every temple west of the Mississippi, east of the Mississippi River, they'd come. So it was probably about 12 to 20 temple presidents. And they'd each invested who knows how much in making, because this is a very nice garland, I'm appreciating the garland, but they invested, flew in frangipani flowers from Hawaii and roses from Costa Rica, gardenias from Florida. Maybe you've seen those pictures of Prabhupada when he's buried in garlands. So it was one of those scenes. And Prabhupada was just completely covered with beautiful, fragrant garlands. Now the devotees coming from New Vrindavan in West Virginia, they were driving. And they had no money. So they picked whatever flowers they could find, unaware of this other scene that was going on. They picked whatever flowers they could find just growing on the side of the road. Wildflowers. And they made a little garland. So Kaladri was the temple president at the time. And so they arrived late. They came into the temple room. They saw Prabhupada with all these big garlands and all the temple presidents offering these big, big garlands. He had a little garland like this. So he was embarrassed, So he was hiding it behind his back like Sudam Brahmana, hiding the chipped rice. And Prabhupada didn't miss a thing. Prabhupada immediately. So what could he do? He came forward with this little thing. Prabhupada took off all the big garlands and distributed them, passed them out. And then he put on the little garland. He said, forest flowers, just like Radharani makes for Krishna. So I always took it, there's so many things in there, but you can take it that, they're very nice, thank you, don't get me wrong. But it's bhakti, patram pushpam palam toyam, you just, whatever you have, a leaf, a flower, a fruit. And if it's offered with, was it Vidura and Duryodhana? And Krishna was coming to eat? And Duryodhana made a feast, and Krishna wouldn't even drink water. And then he went to the house of Vidura, and Vidura was so ecstatic, he was offering him some simple fruit, but he left the bananas in the kitchen and offered the peels, and Krishna ate a piece of the peel. So this is bhakti. It doesn't require any material qualification. And yet it requires the most complicated thing, the most expensive thing, which is surrender and love. So I wanted to talk today, and I did take some notes. This is part of a longer seminar about offenses to devotees. There's different types of offenses. There's offenses to the holy name, offenses to the deity, you get the idea. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, because People say, well, I chanted Hare Krishna, nothing happened to me. Hare Krishna, oh. But it is a process. It takes time. We've been conditioned in this world for lifetimes. Nityabhara, we've been conditioned in this material world so long, it's practical, you can't count it. And the Vedas give the example, if you have a clay pot and you put wine in it, then you pour the wine out, the aroma stays in the pot. So each of our lifetimes, each life and all of our desires, and I don't want to go too far afield, but we are carrying a lot of baggage. Emotions, desires, experiences, conceptions from previous lives. And that doesn't go away with a snap of the fingers. It takes effort, it takes time. And Mahaprabhu says, oh, we got a crew in the back? Yeah. Hare Krishna to you back there. I know you're there. No, I'm just joking. But I don't want it to fear out here to sound like the voice of God. You will surrender. Okay. So the point I was trying to make is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, once it's set, and this is one of the greatest austerities for a sound man. Let's see if you're up to the challenge. Do not touch the dials. It's tough. Let's see if you can do it. You'd be the rarest. You can turn it down just a pinch because whatever, who cares? I just don't want you to feel intimidated. So Mahaprabhu says, what is the greatest obstacle? If I'm growing a garden, it's described that the one, by the grace of a bona fide spiritual master and Krishna's mercy, one gets the seed of Bhakti Lata Bija. Bhakti Bija means seed, and Lata means like a vine, like a jasmine vine or something. So the seed of Bhakti Lata is planted with the holy name, is planted within the heart, and it's watered by the holy name. And it sprouts and it grows. And a vine grows and it has a goal, and it reaches its goal and it gives fruit. So the goal, of course, is to pierce through the coverings of the material world. We go past Vaikuntha and all the way to Goloka Vrindavan and attach ourselves firmly to the lotus feet of Krishna. And there's fruit. There's sambandha. There's abhideya. We could describe that some other time. And there's prayojana. Prayojana means fruit. So like a vine, or there's this elderberry, it's giving fruit, or you have a jasmine, it buds and gives some flowers. So there's a fruit of the thing. So the fruit of the Bhakti Lata Bij, planted by the spiritual master, watered by the holy name, is to manifest the fruit of pure love of God, pure love of Krishna. So that's a summary of the process. And if you have a delicate plant, anyone who's a gardener, you have to protect it, right? You have to put a little fence around it. You have to make sure you water it. Gets so many different things. So Mahaprabhu gives this analogy when he's talking to Sanatana Goswami. And he says that, okay, everything's fine. What is the mad elephant? Oh, jeez, I blew it. What is the offense that will destroy that delicate plant growing? All right, but you're a step ahead of me, young man. I appreciate it. If you let an elephant loose in your garden, this happened in Bengal. There was a group of elephants who broke into a brewery and drank the raw, I guess there was a lot of sugar in it or something, and they became intoxicated elephants, and you were smashing, elephants gone bad. So imagine if you have a little garden and a mad elephant gets loose. What happens? Exactly. Everything's finished. So Mahaprabhu says, for the Bhakti Lata Bija planted within the heart, the mad elephant offense is offense to devotees. So some other time, some other visit, we'll go down that. But I wanted to talk about, okay, there's offenses. What about when we're offended? Forget other people. What about me? You know, we're thinking, hey, hang on a minute. And, well, I guess I'll say that later on. I was in Detroit as a young man, and as I always say, let that be a lesson to you. I was young at one time, and it goes by just like this. Just, you have no idea how fast you're going to be old with a gray and a cane before you know it, buddy. So don't waste your time. So I was the Sankirtan leader in the Detroit temple, getting the devotees organized, and which is like trying to herd cats sometimes. I was trying to get the devotees out on Sankirtan. And I, somehow or other, I had an argument with the temple commander. The devotee was running the data. You know, I wanted this van. He needed it to go buy produce at the farmer's market. We needed it for the... You know, one thing led to another. We were young and passionate and foolish. Kind of big argument. And I said harsh words. He said harsh words, and I stormed off, and he stormed off. So Satsarupa Swami was visiting. He was our governing, in charge of that, the Midwest. He was our GBC, or governing body commissioner at that time. So I went to him, and I said, so-and-so does, this and this happened, and he, and I wanted vindication. I wanted, legitimacy, the stamp of legitimacy, and I was going to go back and straighten that guy out. And Satsarupa Swami asked me, well, did you apologize? What? That was a brand new concept. I said, apologize? I said, for what? I was right, and he was wrong. Why am I going to apologize? Hello there, young man. All right. You happy there? Okay. So Satsarupa Swami said, well, you can be sorry you lost your temper. There are ancillary or additional elements to the thing. Yeah, it was true. I thought I could be sorry I lost my temper. And he said, you could be sorry that you spoke harshly. Austerity of speech, to speak the truth, according to the Vedas, and that doesn't offend. So, okay, I blew that. That's three things I blew. So I said, all right, I'll go back and I apologize. And I went back, I found him, and I said, I'm sorry, and I offer my obeisances. And he didn't offer his obeisances in back and stormed off in a huff. And I thought, just see, I was right all along. Thinking like that. Shows you my nature. And I went back to Satsarupa Maharaj and narrated the story. I said, what was the use of that exercise? He said, no. That Krishna was pleased. Who were we trying to please? Samsiddhi haritoshanam. How do you measure of all activities? How do you measure success? Is Krishna pleased? That's the real measure of it. And he was saying, Krishna's pleased. You took a humble position. You acted like a Vaishnava. It doesn't matter what they did. It matters what you did. So the point I wanted to make, and we'll go into it a little more deeply. I don't want to take too long. But the basic, I was in, and Govardhan knows this example. Govardhan's my faithful traveling compatriot. He's put up with me through all these years, so credit goes to him. He wasn't with me at this time, but I was traveling from New York City to Puerto Rico. We were setting up the Spanish language BBT, our publishing house. And it's an American dollar, it's Spanish language, it's part of the U.S. It was a great place for, work both ways. It was a two-way door for Latin America and America, USA. So as I was on my way to Puerto Rico, I was going down to board my flight There was a big post. I mean, it was like from that door to that door and taller than this room. Huge, big size. We went down it's JFK, when you go down the escalator before you go to the gates. And it was a beautiful beach scene of Puerto Rico. The white sands, the aquamarine water, 2 pairs of footprints, because you can't be happy alone. Tell that to them, you can't find your home in Vermont. No, it gets really lonely after a while. One of the worst punishments, if you want to break someone psychologically, kids don't try this at home, but if you wanted to break someone psychologically, it's isolation, it's solitary confinement, it's sensory deprivation. And we want to spend eternity in a white light with no relation, no senses, show me the logic of that. That's a whole other story. But the point is, 2 pairs of footprints, beautiful tropical beach, nice scene. And it said, going nuts in this city, noise, chaos, cacophony. Go to Puerto Rico. Relax. Well, okay, that's interesting. It makes sense. I'm on my way to Puerto Rico. When I landed in San Juan, in the Puerto Rico San Juan airport, before I even got my bags, similar size signboard. Picture of the New York skyline at night with all the lights. Said, going nuts on this little island with nothing to do. Go to New York City. I thought, well, hey, hang on a minute. Everybody in New York thinks they're going to be happy in Puerto Rico. Everybody in Puerto Rico thinks they'll be happy in New York. Is it over Atlanta at 30,000 feet, halfway? I said, no, I've been there. I wasn't happy. The point is that we're all trained like Pavlov's dog, stimulus and response. Baby comes out, they slap the baby on the rear end. I think it's to get them to cry to open their lungs. There's a reason for it. But welcome to this world. Smack. You go to the dentist, go to the doctor. When I was a kid, you get a big shot. The guy comes at you with a horse needle. Whoa, And then they give you a lollipop afterwards. You think, man, it wasn't so bad. Was it worth it? So, but my point is, stimulus response. And if I just get the right conditions, that's the basic premise. Just get the right house, have enough money to pay for it, good health. I mean, if you ever see those guys juggling? They start off with plates, and then they got candelabras, and they got oranges, and that guy's concentrating. There's a lot going on. So you think about it. If your happiness is based on conditions, you have to be in the right place, has to be the right time of year, you have to be in good health, you have to be with the right people. What if I forgot? You had to have enough money, got to be in good health. I mean, it's all kinds of factors that you have to juggle and align. It's like winning, a slot machine, getting all the cherries to line up. And even if you're successful, let's give it to you. We managed to line we got it all juggled and everything. What does Krishna say what do the Buddhists say? That nothing is certain but change. You can't bathe in the same river twice. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that the material nature is constantly mutable. It's always shifting and changing. Even in physics, what is the law of entropy? Things are friction, things are always running into each other and wearing down. So if my happiness depends on conditions, and conditions are always changing, what does that say for my happiness? Don't overthink it. What does it mean? It's always shifting and changing. If my happiness depends on conditions, and conditions are always changing and mutable, it means my happiness is going to slip right through my fingers. I cannot maintain it. I cannot control it. Krishna says, time I am, and I destroy all things. So that's just a fact. So if we can't control conditions, and I heard Prabhupada say this personally, if we can't control conditions, and anybody see COVID coming? I mean, we can't control so many things, Do you know that more people die than from shark bite? More people die from, I'll just say it this way. More people die by being hit on the head by a coconut than die from shark bite. Worldwide, it's about 9 people a year. You can Google it. People die making toast. I guess they're sticking the fork in. I don't know what's going on. But, I mean, people die getting out of the bathtub. You know, don't worry about that shark when you're at the beach. It's the coconut you got to worry about. You know, I mean, just, it's a pretty, you know, it's a, what is it, Govinda Dev says it's a tottering like on a drop of water on a lotus leaf. That really is our position. So here's my point. If we cannot control conditions, and anybody who wants to argue with that, fine, you know, we'll talk during Prasadam. But we can control something. We cannot control conditions. I mean, we're not saying, you know, just lie down on the freeway and let it happen, you know. We're not saying that at all. We're, you know, Prabhupada liked the saying, God helps those who help themselves. We have our independence. We have our intelligence. Sure. And we should do our best. I mean, you know, go to the dentist. You know, Prabhupada went to the dentist. They asked Prabhupada, how did you like it? Prabhupada said, we are tolerant. He didn't like it, you know. You have to go to the dentist. What can you do, you know? So, my point being, and this is for 10 extra points, if you don't get the right answer, you still get prasadam, don't worry. What if we cannot control conditions, but there is something we can control? What is that thing we can control? Oh, look at this. Enthusiastic. I think you had your hand up yet. We'll get you second if you got it. Go ahead. Free will is the agent. But what is the thing that you are controlling with free will? You want to take a shot at it? Our decisions. You're 75% there. He's good. Emotions is, okay, good, we're getting there. What, you want to take another stab at it? How we react. And those are all free will, and our decisions and our emotions are all factors. We cannot control conditions. But we can control, we have complete control over how we react to them. So we're going to talk in the few minutes that we're going to carry on here, how great devotees have reacted to conditions when they're offended. We are all trying to work together. I was in Prabhupada's room. Prabhupada said, spiritual movement in the material world, difficult proposal. And in Kali Yuga, it's described in the first canto, amongst natural allies, husband and wife, father and son, brother and brother, these are natural friends. And there's so much tension. Welcome to America. In my family, actually it was I was married many, many years ago. It's ancient history by Krishna's grace. But my former wife's mother and her sister had not spoken with each other for 20 years. And I remember we were at by Krishna's grace, it was all vegetarian, some Thanksgiving, you know, family thing, you have to do that stuff. And we had 2 kids, which I raised myself, and they turned out all right, amazingly enough. But they would say, they'd be sitting at the Thanksgiving table. Janice, can you ask Sarah to pass the salt? And Sarah would say, Janice, can you tell Janice to get it herself? I mean, they wouldn't talk to. I thought, this is so weird. It was an indication. That was the beginning of my married life. It went downhill from there. But the point I'm trying to make is that even amongst natural allies, even you're trying to communicate, there's all kinds of issues. So that there will be friction amongst devotees. And here's one of my favorites. Did anyone in this room ever have trouble from their mind? Their mind ever give them any difficulty? Hey, that's a universal. Govardhan Prabhu, I don't want to embarrass him, but I'm going to, is one of the top book distributors in America. And one of the topics you mentioned that people stop.
I ask people, who's your best friend and your worst enemy?
Okay, I hadn't thought of that one. What's the other? Did you say, do you ever suffer?
I said, how's your mind treating you? And then also ask him, has your mind ever gotten you into trouble?
And he also asks them, he says, anybody ever experienced stress? That stops them cold, because it's like a universal experience. So to expect that there will not be friction. Oh, here's what I was going to say about the mind. So my mind, suppose your mind is causing you trouble. Well, I want to save time. We'll go down that road some other time. I have a PowerPoint about the mind. So we have to expect that there will be difficulties. We have to expect that living in a community, sometimes there's friction. Sometimes devotees may misunderstand us or not appreciate us, or sometimes we're all human beings. Sometimes people have a bad day, and you just happen to be in their way. You happen to be the person they snapped at, or, So how do we deal when we're offended or we're put in a difficult situation? And we can learn from the Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is news you can use. It is not a story that your grandmother told you. And okay, it's a nice folklore, and there it is. It is a practical guidebook to how to live in this world. So let's see, I think, because I want to save time. Yeah, I started with, now, Parikshit Maharaj Parikshit. Was he offended? Did he experience, what happened to him? No, offense. We're talking about offense. What happened to him? Yes, Mataji.
He was cursed to die in a week.
There we go. He was king. He had a beautiful wife, powerful kingdom, opulence, good health, and he was cursed by a inexperienced Brahmin boy. That's a pretty heavy offense. And he could have removed it. Prabhupada says a number of times, Prabhupada says he actually could have countered the curse. So what did Maharaj Parikshit do? What did he think? Because remember, we're talking about conditions we can't change, how we react to conditions. What did Maharaj Parikshit do? No, you got one already, Mataji. I'll call in if we got nobody else. Anybody else? Just what is the history line? First canto Bhagavatam. What did he do? Raise your hand. If you get the wrong answer, we'll be friends. Mataji, don't worry. He thought, should I counter it? But no, I can hand it over to, Samas Janmanjaya was his son? Yeah, I can hand it over. And actually, the Bhagavatam gives so many wonderful examples. The silkworm makes the cocoon, which he thinks will be shelter, and he's going to from the larva into the whatever. But that cocoon traps him. And the silk merchant comes, throws it into boiling water. So that very thing that he created for his shelter becomes the cause of his death. So he was thinking, I'm completely absorbed in my kingdom and my family and my opulence. But what is the real purpose of life? Death is going to happen to everyone. It's only a matter of time. So he thought, this is Krishna's mercy on me. This is an opportunity. Let me get out of this kingdom, put it all aside. And he sat on the banks of was it Jamuna or Ganga? I always get that mixed up. I think Ganga, sat by the holy, well, it's a good guess. One of us is right. So, but he simply thought, this is an opportunity. And if we think, if we can fix the thing, we should fix it. We're not talking about, But if we're hit with something heavy, or a devotee offends us, or we're put in a difficult, we can think, because it's true, what can I learn from this? I can't change the circumstances. How can I grow from this? How can I learn from this? What is Krishna? Because it's described, not a blade of grass moves without the will of the Supreme. And Prabhupada liked that. And Krishna's directing the devotees are under the Daiva Prakriti, the divine energy. Krishna takes care of his devotees. So Maharaj Parikshit thought, all right, I'm in this difficult situation. Why has Krishna done this? And like raging like Lear on the moor, why have you done this, God? He thought there must be a purpose. There's a great line in the Bhagavatam, in one of Prabhupada's purports, and he describes, how does he put it? The beneficial, therapeutic hand of the all-merciful Lord. So why do devotees suffer? It's a question. Why do devotees suffer? We're trying to surrender to Krishna. Why do we suffer? And Prabhupada says that suffering to a devotee is the tonic administrated, tonic, which means it's medicinal, of the beneficial therapeutic hand of the all-merciful Lord. Well, this doesn't look like mercy to me. But if we think about it, that's the job. Why is Krishna doing this? How can I learn from this? How can I grow? How can I benefit? And we can turn with that change of consciousness, change of approach. We can change from being angry and bitter and frustrated and lashing out. And we can change the whole thing around. Okay, Krishna, help. And Krishna will help you. When Maharaj Parikshit decided, okay, it's Krishna's arrangement to get out of all this, I'm going to go sit on the back of the Ganga and I'm going to pray. What did Krishna do? What happened to him? Just immediately thereafter. It's the history. Krishna sent all kinds of saints and sages to give him advice, and then who appeared? Sukadev Goswami. And he heard the Bhagavatam and became completely self-realized and went back to Godhead. Krishna reciprocated with his mood. Prabhupada told me one time, he said, he quoted, Yeyatam mam prapadyante, as you surrender, Krishna reciprocates, right? And sometimes that's translated, you take a step towards Krishna, Krishna will take a step to you. Prabhupada said, no. Prabhupada said you take one step to Krishna, and Krishna takes 10 to you. I mean, if you could, what is that, 1,000% increase? Who wouldn't invest in that bank? Right? Pretty good rate of return if you ask me. So, because the thing is, what is this life meant for? Should we really be doing, you've heard it before, one of the first things I heard Prabhupada say was this world is simply polished dogs and cats. I thought, whoa. I said, that's pretty heavy. But you think about it. Should we, anyway, I don't want to go too far afield. The simple point is, if we learn the art, if we recognize we can't always control conditions, and if we can change our consciousness, because Krishna is real. I was on a morning walk with Prabhupada in Detroit on Belle Isle. It's a long story. And sometimes Prabhupada would talk when he's on a walk, and sometimes he wouldn't talk, but he was in a reflective mood, And Prabhupada was just walking and chanting on his beads. And then he stopped, and there was probably about 25 devotees, temple presidents, sannyasis, this and that. And Prabhupada looked at us and said, I know you're all atheists, but there really is Krishna. And turned around and kept right on walking. Okay, somebody splashes cold water, it wakes you up. Okay, So Krishna's real. And I'll give you an example. We were talking about this yesterday. People say, show me God. They ask Prabhupada, can you see God? What time is it? We need a clock. And you tell me the truth. You're in presence of the deities are coming. What time is this program talk supposed to end? Tell me oh, Swami, as long as you like. People are hungry. They got stuff going on. Now tell me the truth. Well, how long is it? What time did we start talking? Huh? 1:45. All right. So we'll go on about another 10 minutes. People are hungry. I know what I'm up against. There are forces more powerful than me, and prasadam is one of them, I'll tell you right now, you know. So, now what was I going to say? We talked about it yesterday. Oh, no. Thank you. You're close. Thank you. You got my memory going again. It was, I wake up sometimes, I don't even remember where I am because I travel a lot. Sometimes I get a little kickstart here. Thanks. People say, can you see God? Because I'm saying Krishna is real. Well, have you seen God? Prabhupada would say, yes, I've seen God. The problem is, why can't you see God? You know, Krishna, presence of God is everywhere. Light of the sun and the moon, pure taste and water. I mean, we could go on and on that. Sometimes Prabhupada would say, you can see God, but your eye's infected. You have a speck of sand, you can't see anything. You got to take the sand out. You got to remove the false ego and lust and greed and anger. Then you can see God. So Prabhupada would give different answers. One of my favorites, and Malati Devi told me this, Prabhupada's in Bhaktivedanta Manor. Prabhupada's Vyasasan's here. Temple room's long and thin. Radha Gokulananda standing here. Beautiful Radha Krishna deities. Man stands up, says to Prabhupada, challenges, can you see God? Prabhupada says, certainly, but you're standing in the way. Sit down. So Prabhupada had a number of ways of answering it. But actually, even before you see God, there is a moment. Just like, you know, for saying Gayatri and stuff like that, I have on my clock a time calculation. It'll tell me exactly when the sun rises. There is a point that the sun comes over the horizon, right? Yeah, there's an exact moment. It pops over. So Prabhupada said there is a time you will see Krishna face to face. Like Lord Brahma sees Krishna and Krishna shakes hands with him, you know. There will be a point that each of us, I don't want to go too far afield, but we will see Krishna if we stick to the process. A child, how does a child learn how to walk? Who raised their hand and didn't call on them? Now you're on the spot, buddy. How does a child learn how to walk? Do they get up and shoot off to the Boston Marathon?
They fall a couple of times,
Stand up and fall down. Stand up and fall down. Right? What is the one thing, assuming the baby's healthy, what is the one thing that guarantees after falling down that child will never walk? What's the one thing? If he doesn't get up. So Prabhupada used that exact example, that as long as we get up, you know, we take one step to Krishna, Krishna takes 10 to us. And Prabhupada in Brooklyn, Henry Street, in his class, Prabhupada said, chant 16 rounds, minimum. Prabhupada would like to say minimum afterwards, you know. 16 rounds minimum. Follow the 4 regular principles. Serve the Sankirtan mission, serve the Vaishnavas. And Prabhupada said, and you will see Krishna face to face in this life. Wow. It doesn't sound that hard on one hand. So Jayadvaita Swami, there was a darshan later that afternoon. So Jayadvaita Maharaj said, Prabhupada, you said this morning, chant 16 rounds minimum, follow the regular principles, serve the Vaishnavas, serve the Sankirtan mission, and we'll see Krishna face to face at the end of this life. And he was about to say, well, Prabhupada slammed his hand on the desk. Prabhupada said, in this life, why not? So that is the potency in Mahaprabhu's mission and instructions. And before we even see Krishna face to face, as before the sun comes up, there's a stage called Rati, and it's called dawning of love of God. How do you know before the sun comes, okay, it's coming, but before it comes, what happens? Before it actually breaks over the horizon, what happens? We've all experienced it. It's like an on and off switch. It's pitch black and click, all of a sudden it's on. Oh, hey, there you are. Gray. It's completely dark. And then gradually, you know, the amorphous blackness, you begin to see shapes. And then there's shadows. And then they become washed with color. And then eventually things become crystal clear, even before the sun comes over the horizon. So there's a degree that we practice Krishna consciousness, even before we see Krishna face to face. That moment will come, guaranteed, if we stay on the path. But even before then, we will become completely convinced. If I say to you, the sun comes up, what is it, 6:10 in the morning, something like that, let's say. At 5:30, it's already, if I tell you, and you're seeing the dawning, it's becoming light on the horizon, am I in doubt whether the sun is coming? It's coming. There's no question about it. It's only a matter of time. So similarly, if we are practicing Krishna consciousness, you will progressively feel Krishna in your life. How do you know that someone is, you're very hungry. When you eat your first bite, are you fully satiated? But is your anxiety relieved? You think, yeah, I just got to stay at it. It's a nice, just keep spooning it in. It's all going to be just fine, So if we stay on the path and are careful about offenses and see what happens to us in our life, that is Krishna's mercy. What can I learn from it? How can I grow? Why has Krishna sent this? There has to be a reason. Nothing happens by... the Sanskrit word darshan? Oh, I'll say it this way. In the Sanskrit language, there is no word for chance. Oh, it happened by chance. There's no such word in Sanskrit. How do they deal with it? The word they use is drisha. And it has its root in darshan, which means to see. And what it means is, the word they use, there's a cause, we just can't see it. We may not know why something's happening, but it doesn't mean there's not a cause. Everything is happening by the hand, ultimately the beneficial, therapeutic, merciful hand of the Lord for a therapeutic treatment. And if we have that consciousness, then we can see and we quickly advance in spiritual life. Okay, so I wanted to leave you with that one thought. We'll do the others some other time. Anybody we'll take a few questions, and then we'll take prasadam. Is that all right with you? Yeah, man. Immediately broke into a smile. Okay, so anyone have... Now, I've said this before, but it's an icebreaker, and it's true. People are shy by nature, especially devotees, generally speaking, are shy. They're gentle. You're gentle. And I say, anybody have a question? Everybody thinks, well, certainly the person next to me is going to ask a question, so I don't have to. Now, if you have a room full of people, you do the math, you have a room full of people and everyone thinks the person next to them is going to ask a question. What happens? There's a long, awkward silence. I guarantee, I've been through it many times. And then you just say, we need one brave soul to break the ice with a question. And then people think, well, hang on a minute, I got a question. So do we have a brave soul with it? We'll just take a couple. We'll go 10 minutes and we'll be done. I guarantee it. Anyone have a question? A brave soul. And front row seat, too. Okay.
Everything happens for a reason. But then you said, if you can think of something...
Oh, you thought of something?
Yeah.
The challenge was, we'll see about that, my friend. The challenge was, wherever you see pattern, order, design, there's an intelligence. Whoa, what happened? You spun the dials. Oh, it's because he's got the mic? So what do? We turn mine off or his off?
I turned it off.
Okay. Thank you. That was a bona fide touch of the dials. Thank you very much. There's intelligence behind it. That's my challenge. Wherever you see order, pattern, symmetry, design. In our day, we showed up here. I mean, that was a beautiful Abhishekam. Did that just happen by chance? Somebody put their intelligence to and thought about it. So I'm just setting up the premise, and I want to hear your challenge. So, because we're saying in this existence, it's the either or question. In philosophy, either there is God or there isn't. If there isn't, why pretend? If there is, it's the only thing that matters, really. See, I think it's Kierkegaard. Whatever. It's called the either or question. So, what is logical? did this world, which appears to have ordered pattern, symmetry, design, and there's so many examples of that interdependency and so on. You change the water half a degree off the coast of Puerto Rico, and in 3 or 4 years, they're measuring off the different interdependent food systems on a piling on a pier have completely shuffled. I mean, this world is so finely tuned and intricately balanced. One of my heroes, Sariputta Prabhu, who I love to talk about, PhD in statistics, a double PhD. His other one was in theoretical physics, a tenured professor at Cornell University at 32 years. That doesn't happen easy, my friend. So he was one of the first people, now there's several books about it, to go at the statistics, the different factors, distance from the sun. I mean, there's so many factors for there to be life on this planet. And if you calculate, if you take the statistical, the odds of all those things lining up, and how, you just throw the dice, sooner or later you're going to get double six. Okay, but you can calculate how long that's going to take. And there's all kinds of things. So you take all the factors for there to be life on this planet. Distance from the sun, I don't know why, you can just get into them. And then you calculate all those things combined together for it to actually come up. Okay, it could come up, but it's, 100 billion to the nth, whatever it is. And according to their calculation of how long, Carl Sagan, according to how long this, the world, the existence, the cosmos has existed, there isn't enough time by even a reasonable factor. So there has to be some design. I mean, they have other things they say. So my point is, but if you step back and want to see the truth, Occam's razor, the simplest with the least steps, is probably the truth. That this world, either or, happened by chance, happened by design. It's logical that it happened by design. So that's the premise. And I said last night, show me something in your physical experience where there's order, pattern, symmetry, and there's no intelligence behind it. And you're going to show me one. Lay it on me, my friend.
Mine is more like, I feel there is no pattern. When I see the lives of different devotees in Bhagavatam, sometimes we see the causeless mercy of Krishna is more on some devotees, and sometimes we see that.
Are you saying that Krishna discriminates amongst his devotees?
We are not able to understand, like, why do.
Now, you can stop right there. I'll let you go on, but we're not able to understand. Well, I don't understand. Can't find my way out of a phone booth without a GPS. I can't, I don't, so many things we don't understand. The fact, I love this one. I think it's from the Renaissance. Man is the measure of all things. What? Why is man? You understand the arrogance of that statement? Everything is subordinate to me. The idea is that everything can be broken down into, that's their whole thing. They start with, there was, they used to, the alchemy, and they had certain elements, and elements, they got them down to molecules, molecules, you got them to atoms, atoms, you get down to subatomic particles, now they get it to nano, you got to, that atom smasher, the one in France, I don't know how much they spent on that. It was close to $1 billion. When they fired it up, it completely blew out. You know why? One of the workers had left a loaf of French bread on the track. It's a true story. And I forget the name of it. It'll come to me. There's an observatory in Australia. And it's what NASA uses when it's on the southern hemisphere. It's you can go, I don't know what it's called, but it's a famous observatory. You can Google it. Australia, famous observatory, you'll find. So they thought, had recorded, experienced the sound of the echo of the original Big Bang. Prabhupada always asked, if it came from a chunk, where'd the chunk? Now they say it comes from what is it called? It's singularity. Yeah, it's come from a singularity. There's so many things. That everything came out of nothing. That top guy at MIT says existence is the original free lunch. What? He said, give me one miracle and we'll explain everything else. They do the math all the way back to the point that tiny little particle infinitely intense, infinitely small. Poof, everything came out of it. Well, there's a particle. There's another. Well, why did everything come out of that one and not this? I mean, there's so many holes in the thing. But just to finish on, and then we'll hear what you think. You don't understand. So many things we don't understand. Man is the measure of all things. Profoundly arrogant. They thought that they'd recorded the sound, the echo of the original Big Bang. It was in Scientific America, National Geographic. It used to be, beautiful color illustrations. So many different magazines. It was in textbooks. 15 years. You know what they found out what it was? When they used the microwave oven in the staff cafeteria. You set the thing, I don't know what, popcorn, 3 minutes, I don't know what it is, but and if they would stop it before it hit the ding, it's done early, and they'd stop it and pop the door open, there was a flash of whatever it was, whatever that microwave is running on. And that's what it was picking up. It had nothing to do with the universe. It was the microwave in the staff kitchen. It's a true story. So they don't know what the hay's going on out there. They're getting back there, beep, 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 beep. They're at the edges of the universe. Because they don't get a photo back from, they've got something beyond Hubble now. I forget what it is at, but they get, Yeah, they're getting some radio signal. They're getting electrical impulses, beep, 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 beep. And they take that, they run it through computer models, they colorize it. And that's the spectacular pictures from the outer universe. They could have gone past Narada Muni paying his Veena. Da da dun dun da da dun. Oh my God, we found a dark star. They don't know what's going on. In the honesty, they don't know what's going on. Okay, Prabhupada told Sadhaputta, they only know things of medium size and not too far away. Medium size. You go down the rabbit hole of quantum mechanics, forget it. An atom can be in multiple places at the same time. They're not really atoms, they're waves. I mean, and you go way out there, astrophysics, they don't know what's going on. Okay, but you're going to tell me that you figured out how it's all happening by chance? Fire at it, my friend.
My question is more like, you said that there is pattern in all the things, but for the causeless mercy of Krishna doesn't seem like it follows pattern.
Krishna is an expert physician. I have had in my life, I was hit by a car. I've been hit by a motorcycle. Yeah, I got all kinds of. If there's a lightning storm, do not stand next to me. I'm telling you, run, because it's going to hit me, And I don't want to go through some of those experiences in my life. But looking back at them, I can tell you right now, it was Krishna's mercy. Michelangelo. So we don't know what's going. What do we know? We don't know. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a scientist. I wanted to be a fireman. I wanted to be a jet fighter. I had so many things I wanted to do. I didn't want those things at all. I need, doesn't mean anything. We don't know what we want. Socrates says, know thyself and to thine own self be true. Unless you know who you are, how can you possibly know what you want and what you need? You have no idea. So the Michelangelo, they say, when he was carving David, that it's considered the perfect statue of the human physique, and it's lifelike. It's quite impressive. So usually they sketch on get your big block of marble, and they usually sketch on the thing. They sketch, right? Just all the different angles like that. Michelangelo was just sitting there looking at it. He was just looking and looking and looking. After some days, weeks, I don't know how long, his friend said, when are you going to start sketching? He said, no, I don't need to sketch. I can already see it. I can see it inside. I'm just trying to figure out what to remove. It's like he could see it inside, and he just had to chip this off and chip that off, a little chip, and it was there inside already in his mind's eye. Krishna's in our heart. Krishna, we are all pure spirit soul. with an eternal Nitai Sarup Krishna Das. We all have our own Ras with Krishna, and Krishna can see that. And he's just working on us. Just chipping a little too much. I know in my case, a little too much pride, a little too much ego, a little too much envy, a little chip, chip, chip. So we don't know what Krishna's doing. Krishna's working perfectly with every living entity. Think about it. Suhridam Sarvabhutanam. And we'll end here. He's the best friend of all living entities. They say, and I have a friend who's a psychiatrist, and he works in substance abuse center. And it's so common that addicts, they get to a point with their family, I mean, the loving mother and father have changed the locks and moved with no forwarding address. Material love has a breaking point. I mean, I don't know, whatever. But in Brave New World, there's a point that the one thing that's true is love. And at the end of the thing, one of the innocents turns on the other to save themselves. I mean, it's a grim picture. But the point I'm trying to make is that everything in this world breaks. Every relationship. It has I'm done. Krishna, lifetime after lifetime, innumerable times, has been riding in the heart, or like the Katha Upanishad, the bird accompanying the bird trying to enjoy from tree to a tree, trying to enjoy the fruit. We've traveled from body to body to body trying to enjoy. We've been eating cows. We've been doing, sinful things I cannot mention. All of us have done at some point in life, at some previous life, somewhere down the multiple. And Krishna has stayed with us. Don't you need this? You don't want to do that. Oh, come this way, turn that way. Okay, you want that? Try it. Prabhupada gives the example of his father. Prabhupada's son, Braj Mohan, was very naughty. One of Prabhupada's sons challenged him. Was it Braj Mohan? What is the younger son? Vrindavan was the son. He said, Vrindavan, if you can sit still for 5 minutes, I will give you 20 rupees. Kid couldn't do it. And 20 rupees, in whatever it was, 1930, was big money. Kid couldn't do it. So he wanted to put his finger and touch a fan. He wanted to touch the fan because it was going around. He doesn't know it's going to slice his fingers. So Prabhupada pulled the plug, let the fan slow down to the point that it wouldn't hurt him. And he put his finger, it scared the daylights out of him, never did it again. So Krishna knows. Krishna's putting us, don't do that. Go this way. All right, you want to go that way? It's not going to work out, but I want it. Okay, try it. Boom. I'm never doing that again. So Krishna, that's what's happening to each and every one of us in our life. And Krishna's moving us. So Krishna's unlimitedly merciful and giving his full attention to every single living entity. And I'm scratching, I don't understand. So many things you don't. It's a good question, don't get me wrong. Does that answer your question? Oh, very good. Everyone is getting equally, and especially devotees. That's not it. We can talk about this some other time because it's time to take Prashadam. But Krishna is equal to everyone, but especially merciful to his devotees. Okay, thanks, Prabhu. Thank you for sitting so patiently. Let's take Prashad, right? Are we ready? If we're not ready, we could put the choir on. All right. So does anybody else have a question? Now that you know that Prashadam's coming, and I'm not the one holding you back, and as soon as you hear that bell ringing, okay, yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Some other time. I heard one time from Brahma Tirtha Prabhu
Yes.
that you were
Who's doing fantastic research work on consciousness. And consciousness is not brain function is not consciousness. It's a whole other thing. Go ahead.
you were I think the leader of a party that used to go from the temple to the San Diego State University, I believe, to do
Keep going. It's possible.
And there was a professor who began to come to your teaching program,
Keep going.
and he got into some kind of argument with you all.
That's not uncommon.
Something, and then you or your group of devotees were not able to fully like answer all his.
Oh, you're talking about the time Sariputta dealt with him?
Yeah.
I'll tell you quickly. That was at UCSD. Hey, hang on. I got you. I'll take it from here. I'll take it from here. But Prabhupada, people ask Prabhupada so many foolish questions. And, Prabhupada was very patient, but he didn't waste time, and he wanted to teach people. When the BBC arrives, Mukunda Maharaj told me this. They're interviewing Prabhupada, So they're asking him so many questions. Finally, they get around to the stand. Why is the death rate so high in India? Prabhupada said, death rate's the same everywhere, 100%. Huh? The guy asked, he said, in your theology, they say the world is flat. Prabhupada said, everywhere I walk it is. What they're talking about, like Bhumandala can mean Bharatvarsa, the subcontinent of India. It can mean planet Earth. I mean, it can mean the plane of the Earth, the planetary plane, the different, whatever it is, which is relatively flat like that. So it means different things. Like Atma can mean the body, can mean the mind, it can mean the soul. So when they use Bhumandala in different contexts, it means different things. In the context, when Bhumandala is referring to the plane of the planets, the solar system, that plane, that's flat. And that, when Bhumandala, Sariputta told me this, when Bhumandala is using that reference, yes, it's flat. But it's not, when it talks about Earth, often it says Lokadvipa. Loka means place, but it also can mean like a ball. It means a round ball, egg shape actually. No, round ball, the universe is egg shape, floating in space. Not like they didn't know. So they misunderstand, misquote. So what happened with this, we were at UCSD, which is a top hard science school. And the students had been coming to the class, every Friday we had, kirtan, talk, prasadam, and they were having fun and they were becoming devotees. Like Prakasananda Saraswati, he was hearing these reports, and so the professor was thinking, these sentimentalists. I'm going to save my students from this. These Hare Krishna sentimentalists, don't understand Vedas. And so he showed up. And on the day he showed up, Sariputta was giving the talk. And I'm telling you, it was a golden moment. The professor said, you say this and this and that, but certainly you've heard of so-and-so and in his study with Hubble telescope. So Sariputta said, that work's 10 years old and misunderstood. What he actually said was this, and what it really means is this. And you watch the pen. Well, but so-and-so at Caltech has done, Sariputta said, you're really going to trot that out? That really means this and this, and it's been disproved by so-and-so at Princeton. And you watch the guy, when you get in a fight and you realize you're losing. So, if he was standing very arrogantly, and then he was kind of, kneeling, then he was sitting, and then he said, and after several rounds of this, and as they say in the movies, and he is mopping the floor with him, Sariputta. And the guy said, oh, I have to go, but I'll be back. We never saw him again, Sariputta is wonderful, wonderful person. Okay, the bell stopped ringing. Are we ready to serve prasad? Oh, they'll blame it on him, and I'll give a short answer. Does anybody have I don't see anybody with a burning question. No. Okay. Ready to roll. Everybody's pointing at her. She keeps saying no. I think we can take that as a no. She must be hungry. All right, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
So as Badrinarayan Swami Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
So tonight's program is. Thank you. So we want to thank Madhava Hari Prabhu and Jai Lakshmi Mataji and their wonderful children for hosting all the devotees for today's program with a loud Hari Bol. Hari Bol. And then also we all had a chance to observe the welcoming for Mataji, Anand Vrindavani Mataji's
deities. I think you're being asked to lower the volume. Thank you.
He's scared. Doesn't out.
So please have darshan of the deities. I think they're on the altar now.
We're going to have darshan?
I
We'll
think.
have a quick darshan before we
Yes.
Just offer your basics.
And then, did you want to say anything else? Okay. And then finally, tonight at 5 p.m. is program at Krishna Kesha Prabhu's home, Rukmini Priti Mataji and Joshita and Anirudh's home. So at 5 p.m. Yeah.
I'll tell him what to do. So this evening, I'm a member of ISKCON's governing body, our international governing body. You want to complain? I'm right here. Send me an email. It's my fault, whatever it is. So, but we meet on the phone every 2 weeks. We have a, an hour and a half, so many issues that need to be dealt with. But to start off in something sweet, different GBC members give a 5-6 minute report on their area of responsibility. And I've gotten a number of those and pulled out some real nuggets. So if you want to see just blissful activities of devotees, things that'll blow your mind around the world, we're going to show that this evening. I think I can do it in 40 minutes, something like that. But it'll be fun because it's ISKCON. You'll go from Mongolia to Moldova to Madagascar. It'll be fun. You'll like it.
Okay. Oh, Masikanga.
I really appreciate your last night's class, and next week I wanted to know if anything else besides Sunday is being used.
I think this is being recorded. So evening will be recorded too.
If you want to report me to the sannyasa ministry and you now have evidence.
We never meeting your mother-in-law.
Yeah, all right. She was initiated by Srila Prabhupada. I will give her that.
Hare Krishna. So I think Madhuri Prabhu, we'll have darshan. Devotees can go and have darshan and then come back and sit down, or so for devotees.
Shade outside.
So for those and those that can't go outside, they can stay in here. So you have choice.
Yeah, you have a nice voice. I'm sorry.
So so let's go and have darshan, and maybe somebody can chant along the way. You want to do? Yeah? You want me to do?
That's a nice.
What's your name?
Prabhu.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. It's okay.